This is a Victorian cotton mill, and the year is the 1860s. You are a small child, and you're about to live your entire life inside it at every rank, from crawling under the moving machines to running the floor. You are 9 years old when the cart from the workhouse sets you down in the north, and the first thing you learn about the mill is that you hear it before you see it, a sound like the sea, if the sea never stopped and never meant you well. They call it Providence Mill, 6 stories of brick against the sky the colour of wet slate, and it runs on 2 things the county has in endless supply: water and children. You were bound by the parish until the age of 21. You did not sign it. A pauper child cannot sign, he is signed. Somewhere south there is a family you are already beginning to forget. Here there is the bell, and the overlooker, and 1100 looms that do not care whether you live. The scavenger. The youngest children do the job no grown man will fit into. You are a scavenger. Under the machines, while they run, you crawl, collecting the loose cotton fluff from the floor and the moving parts so the works do not clog. The mule carriage rolls out and back over your head, 4 feet of iron on iron, and the rule is simple: be quick, be small, do not rise. You learn the machine's breathing the way you learn the bell in the workhouse. It comes out, you go under, it goes back, you come out. A half-second's daydream is a hand. You see the boys who daydreamed, they are still here. They just have less of themselves to work with. The air is white. Cotton dust hangs so thick you taste it, breathe it, cough it black at night. The men call it mill fever, and every lung in this building is slowly filling with the very thing it makes. You will cough for the rest of your life. So will everyone you meet here. It is 100 degrees on the spinning floor, kept hot and wet on purpose so the thread does not snap. You work barefoot for the grip. By August the little ones faint standing up, and are carried to the window and brought back and set down again. The thread boy. At 11 you are promoted, if that is the word. You are a piecer now. You walk the length of the spinning mule, and, when a thread breaks, you lean in across the moving frame and twist the ends together faster than the eye, 1,000 times a shift. Your fingers learn a skill no school could teach, and no one will ever pay for outside these walls. The minder, the man who runs the mule, is paid by the piece, and you are paid by the minder out of his wage, which means he drives you the way the overlooker drives him. Everyone here is somebody's machine. The hours. Learn the day, because the day is the whole of your life now. The bell at 5:30. You are at the frame by 6, you work until 8, and eat breakfast standing at the machine because the machine does not stop, and your breakfast is not important enough to stop it. Dinner at 12:30, 40 minutes, and the great engine sighs and halts, and for 40 minutes 1100 people remember they are people. Then the bell, and you are the machines again until 7:30 at night. 13 hours. Then the law changes, and it is 12, then 10. Each hour was fought for in a distant parliament by men you will never meet, against other men who swore that a child working 10 hours instead of 13 would ruin the trade and the nation and the child's own moral character. They said it in fine rooms. You gave the hours, they gave the speeches. You are a half-timer, by law. 6 hours at the mill, then march to the mill school, where you fall asleep on the slate because you have been awake since 5. You learn your letters with your face on the desk. It is, still, the only schooling you will get. The century gives with the hand that takes. The spinner. By your 20s you run your own pair of mules. You are a spinner, a minder, and in the strict kingdom of the mill floor, that makes you an aristocrat of the working class. You hire your own pieces now, small and quick, and you pay them out of your wage, and you drive them, and one night you hear your own voice snap at a 9-year-old exactly the way a voice once snapped at you, and you stop, and the boy flinches, and you do not apologize because there is no time and the thread is breaking. This is how it passes down, not through cruelty, through the piece rate. The machine. Now learn what the mill takes, beyond the hours and the lungs. The machinery is unfenced, because a fence costs money and a child does not. The belting overhead runs from a single engine to every floor, and where a loose sleeve or a long plate meets a turning shaft, the shaft always wins. There is a girl on the 3rd floor whose hair was not tied. There was a sound, they say, and then the engine was stopped. The engine stopped, which happens for nothing else in this world. And that is how the whole mill knew. The maimed do not vanish. That is the part the reformers' pamphlets miss. They come back. A man with one hand can still watch a door. A boy with 3 fingers can still sweep. The mill keeps its wounded on, at a lower wage, as a kind of standing lesson. You pass them on the stairs every day, the mill's arithmetic, walking. No one is at fault, the inquest finds. The child was careless, the child is always careless. It is remarkable, across 40 years of inquests, how careless the children of England turn out to have been, and how careful the machines. The famine. In your 30s, the machine stops for a reason no bell ever gave. Across an ocean, America goes to war with itself, and the ships that carried raw cotton stop coming, and a mill without cotton is 6 stories of silent brick. They call it the cotton famine. For 2 years, Lancashire starves. Not because the harvest failed, but because a harvest 3,000 miles away was picked by people even less free than you, and now is not picked at all. You learn the strangest lesson of the industrial age, that your bread depends on a field you will never see, worked by hands you will never shake, in a country you cannot find on the one map in the mill school. The world got large without telling you, and it can starve you from a distance now. The Relief Committee gives you a token for the soup kitchen and a lecture on thrift. The mill owner, who has warehouses full of finished cloth rising in price by the day, gives a speech about shared sacrifice. You have noticed by now how often sacrifice is a thing the poor are asked to share with the rich. And when the cotton comes again, you go back. Of course you go back. The mill is the only thing the North was ever built to do, and you are the only thing the mill was ever built to use. The overlooker. You are older than most men on the floor live to be, and your lungs are half cotton, and one day the master's agent offers you the overlooker's coat. You take it. You would be a liar to say you thought about it long. It is a chair instead of a frame, a wage instead of a piece rate, a voice instead of a back. And now the children are yours to drive. You hold the strap that keeps the little ones awake in the last hour. You dock the pay of the piecer who was slow. You stand where the overlooker stood the day you crawled under the mule at 9, and you find that you know exactly how to do it, because you have been studying the job from underneath for 30 years. A new cart comes from a workhouse in the spring. 4 children, cropped and grey and blinking at the light. The agent tells you to break them in. One of them, a boy, will not stop crying for a mother he is already forgetting. You know that boy. You were that boy. You could be gentle. You have 400 threads to keep from breaking before the bell. That is not cruelty. It was never cruelty. In the England that made you, that is arithmetic. You put him under the mule, where the smallest ones go. And the machine breathes out, and the boy goes under, and the machine breathes in, and the day begins again, the way it always begins, the way it will begin after you are dust in the mill town's crowded ground. The town. One last thing to understand, because it is the cleverest cage of all. You never leave, and the reason is not the indenture. That ended at 21. The reason is the town. The mill built the houses you rent from the mill. It owns the shop where you buy your bread, on credit, against next week's wage. Payday, some weeks, is a token good only at the master's store. They call it the truck system, and Parliament bans it, and it continues, because a law is only as strong as the nearest man willing to enforce it, and the nearest man works for the mill. You were never chained. You want to remember that at the end. The door of the mill town stood open your whole life, exactly like the workhouse door your father once described to you. On one of the last nights you can still hear his voice, open, onto a winter with no wage in it. And your children will choose it too. That is the machine that outlasts every engine, the one that makes the next small pair of hands and sets them down at 9 years old in front of the same white noise. Somewhere a bell rings at 5:30. That is not despair. In the England you were born to, that is the sound of the world working exactly as designed. One child fed into the machine at 7 who survived by climbing it and grew up to feed the next child in. History is full of these mills. We are opening them one life at a time. Subscribe and no one gets forgotten twice.